when he won the 2016 Spanish GP. Coincidentally, he pushed Sebastian Vettel off the top of that record, who came second place in that same race. F1's distinctive sound throughout the decades is in part due to the high-revving engines in use. F1 engines during the V8 era and the mid-2000s, for example, could reach 19,000 RPM. In comparison, a typical road car won't exceed around 6,000 RPM. The 2019 Chinese GP was F1's 1,000th official championship race. If we continue with around 20 to 24 races a year, we can expect the 2000th GP to happen around the year 2064.
Well, good afternoon everyone, welcome back to LOE. My name is Jamie Morris and alongside me is Head Bob here, and today we're here for round 12 of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Last time we were at the French GP and I've got a different guest here with me tonight, so it's very nice to see. But unfortunately our main commentator could not make it tonight, so welcome Bob here, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you for the lovely introduction. At the Hungarian, it is looking dry, so first car setting out on track as Gary's the first one. I can't wait to see what times are going to be up there.
What lap times do you think we're expecting? Is it going to be a high 14 and a low 15, do you think, as Lifebart's already retired?
I mean, definitely in the mid 14s, I reckon some people will go. I think if you're in the 15s, you're a bit off pace. So if you're, I think Paul will be around the 14, 5, 6, 7. So definitely in the 14s, everyone will go.
Yeah, I did forget what lap times you should be setting. I knew it was around the 14 mark, but I thought 50 was the best you could do, or high 40s. So let's see what the drivers can do around here and around this technical circuit here in Hungary. Maximum downforce is required as well around here. Last time out with the French GP, it was a heavily affected rain race it was, and let's see if it can be dry here, because the last few races it has been wet, but hopefully it can stay dry here tonight, because we saw Russell, who is way ahead of Verstappen in the championship, has got a big advantage over the Dutchman in 13th place. So let's see if Verstappen can finally break a streak and try and gain something here in the championship and try and finish ahead of Russell, because Russell had the upper hand in the previous races. So on board with his teammate QVR Gary, then make his way through 13 and the final corner of 14, just preparing his flying lap is QVR Gary with the DRS wide open, and I think there is one detection point for two DRS zones around here as they make our way down this straight, headed into turn number 1, braking at the 100-meter board, down to the gear as he goes up into third gear, just using the throttle to rotate the car back on the traction, back on the throttle, DRS opened immediately, going down into turn 2, then as we make our way down towards this left-hander, just straight up the car on the throttle immediately once you're at the corner as well, should be flat out through turn number 3. Perfectly executed there for QVR Gary as we make our way now towards this tricky turn 4. You want to flick it in at fast speed using the outside curve, but obviously without a validator as we make our way now towards turn 5. Don't want to touch that inside curve, otherwise you will spin the car just like Spain at turn number 11 or 12 I believe it is. Now we make our way through the chicane, we go flicking left and right, once again coming towards this midsection here, flicking it left and right again, carrying a minimum speed through the corners. Easy left this one and make our way out towards this right hand. A slight lift off on the throttle, no need to break through there, and the middle sector is a 53.8. so this lap is shaping up to be a good one for QVR Gary if he can keep it nice and tidy, because the tyres will be hot at this stage on his flying lap. So let's see if we can keep it nice and clean without losing the rear end of the car as we make our way now towards the final corner for Gary, making his way now towards the line. Let's see what lap time he can set as a banker. It's a 50.3, Bob here.
Yeah, solid banker from Gary. Nuth in behind, he's running the final corner as we speak. Slightly slower than Gary was in the middle sector, but only a tenth. So in the final sector he could have made it up, but he didn't. Only half a tenth behind the McLaren for the moment. Alpine crossing the line, that is Campbell. He goes first, teammate of Gary. Verstappen crossing the line, and that is first place with a 15.1. And Hazard is starting the lap. I don't think anyone else is currently on the lap. I'm lying, as that is Frank, and he is quite fast in the middle sector. I think around 4 tenths faster than Gary was, 5 tenths than what Nuth was. So he's looking good for a professional pole. Maybe the first time in the 14s. Well, the first time in the 14s we have seen, but it isn't from Frank. It came from Sweet Crown. Frank crossing the line, also in the 14s, only 20 thousandths away from the P1.
Indeed, so we've got Aston Martin now crossing the line. I think that's Luke going for his flying lap. That's actually Chris. I'm on board the wrong driver, but yeah, Chris is on the intermediates then. So quite unusual to run the intermediates because people run it in long qualified, but in short qualified, you don't expect to see that type of tyre. So Hazara then going through the middle sector there. He has qualified and started last previously, Hazara. His best result came at the Belgian Grand Prix. He's a very quick driver, but recently he has been on the back foot. So let's see then what he could do. He had lots of penalties on the opening lap last week. Not quite sure what happened in that race in France, but he's a 53.8, and the best middle sector I've seen so far is he oversteers off the track and invalidates his lap times. That lap time is ruined there, fortunately, for the Norwegian driver in the Haas, so we can forget about that lap time so far. But Luke, I don't think he's going for a fly lap. I think he was on one, but something must have happened at turn 1 or turn 2 because he's already backed out. He hasn't invalidated then. So Sweet Crown currently topping the timing sheets with a 14.8, has been rather consistent in terms of podiums. They're still trying to figure a way out, try and beat this man in 30th place, which is Russell in the Alpine there, and Russell's been looking very strong in the last few races. Can he keep it up though? It's been an absolute phenomenal job for the Brits so far, but is anybody going to challenge here in Hungary? I wonder. He's been very strong in the wet recently too, but his target to beat is a 40.8, and Shadow Glow, the man who is third in the championship, is currently going for a flying lap with the DRS enabled. Didn't really have the best race back in the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I think you remember got spawned into turn number 1, I believe it was either him or Cucumber that got spawned into turn number 1 as he was trying to overtake drivers on all the tyres, trying to make his strategy work. Now he climbs towards the top of the hill to set a 27.0 in the first sector, and that always makes me nervous as they go through there because it's so easy to validate the corner, especially on the exit too. Now coming towards the chicane, I do tend to struggle a bit through the chicanes, as if you take too much curb on the entry, you might lose the back of the car. But this middle sector should have no problems, or less, of course. You kind of validate on this exit here, and also in the race too, where it's easy to go out wide as Luke crosses the line to go P7, but not with a representative lap time. At 53.8, he matches what Frank does in that middle sector, but can he find any more time in the lap sector to demote Sweet Crown from pole? As we make our way now towards turn 30 we go. You can see the back of the car just stepping out there as he tried to apply the throttle, but shouldn't affect him too much as he rounds the right hand of the final corner, with the lap time going to be a 40.8, which puts him on pole.
Yeah, very close at the top of the times. The top 3 separated by less than a tenth. Let's have a look who else is on the lap right now, and the answer is Cucumber. Strong middle sector and a very strong last sector as he goes pole by over a tenth. Further down the field it's Luke crashing out just after the turn 5 right-hander. So I think it looks like he came out of the corner. That's right on board with Fleddy as his car is already gone again. Probably just got too much on the exit of that corner, still lost the car maybe on the yellow sausage curb into the right wall. Fleddy himself has invalidated the lap time. Our championship leader G. Russell coming across the final corner and looking to go up top of the standings, which he doesn't do. P3 though still for the Alpine is a very strong position to be in at this moment. No one else currently on the lap. McLaren coming around the final corner to start the lap again. That is Gary. P is as well on the lap in P12. P7 in the championship. He is in a battle with Fleddy and Baki, who isn't here at the moment. No, I can't see him. So let's have a look at what Gary does. I think he has improved his turn run already, which he didn't really carry the minimum speed that he wanted to last lap. The first lap that he did, the banker, but on this second lap it looks a little bit stronger. Let's see what he does in the first sector, and he is improving by 0.006 of a second, which is not going to be enough for a position improvement. So he has to find more time in the second and third sector. More work to do for the Irishman, as he's now through this turn 6 and 7, the chicane in the tricky part of sector 2. And now towards the almost flat right-hander small lift again from the McLaren, as he uses all of the curb on the outside. A little bit more time found in that middle split, but a 53.7 is a bit off what we've seen, and that is the mistake that has ended the lap for him.
Yes, unfortunately for Gary, he did miss the apex at turn 8 as well, so he cost himself a bit of time, but he's going to go back into pit lane then, as he won't be able to regenerate the ERS from there, try and go for another consecutive lap. However, Campbell in the Alpine has invalidated, but it looks like he's still pushing. He's found a 10th as well in that middle sector, but it won't count. So let's see, I think he might go back into pit lane to try and put on a brand new set of softs and go for it once again. We've got P's entering the first sector, a 27.2. for Relentless Peas. He started in P4. He had a really great start at the first GP, and also he was the minister of defence at that Grand Prix because he defended from 3 or 4 different drivers trying to claim P4, and somehow Peas managed to hold on at every single occasion, keeping guys behind, whereas others made mistakes, like I think it was Verstappen and Cucumber who made contact in the final corner too, and Campbell, who got frustrated behind him, made contact but let him go because ultimately he knows it was his own mistake, pushed him off the track. And Frank, who tried to overtake too, but he went off the track himself at turn 1. So yeah, it was a really frustrating race for Peas in terms of defence, but still managed to hold on. A bit of oversteer, exited 13 to make our way now towards the final corner for Relentless Peas. And let's see what lap time he can set as he goes up into P7 with a 15.1 and 500s away from Verstappen, who is improving in the first sector and needs to find a time to get himself near Russell. He's currently 2 cars in between himself and the man who's P1 of the championship. Verstappen there needs a clean run because he has been struggling the last few races, has QVR Verstappen as well. He's only had 2 wins this season. The first win came in Silverstone, but we've got a car who's always made contact, so the car wasn't ghosted there, as Verstappen has found a 10th in the middle sector. He's lucky not to break his front wing, because if that was real life, his front wing would have been gone, and that right front tyre of the Haas would have been gone as well. But I think that was Hazara who spun at the exit there of turn 11 as Peas was tired after doing a lap. That's turn 5 again where we saw Luke crash, but here comes Verstappen now across the line. It's a 40.9. Did he get compromised by the Haas who spun?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was contact, which automatically means you lose just speed. That's just the way it is. Chris goes into P11, 3/10 of P10 though, so he needs to get some work done to improve that lap time. June into P9 as his teammate is the one who crashed out, so he's the only remaining AlphaTauri in this session, looking to do some good, but he gets bumped down to P10 with Nuth improving over 9,000s of him. So we've seen 2 people already crashing out, 2 drivers in that turn 5 on the exit probably, and Peas even on his in lap, which is not ideal. You don't want to do that if you can just take the corner calmly. Hazara, he had a big moment as well, as riding on board when he lost the car in the last corner of sector 2 and just used too much of the inside curve, lost the car, managed to keep it out of the wall though, but when he tried to get out of the way, his car indeed just didn't ghost. Didn't really have any other option to go, because otherwise he would have impeded who was it, Verstappen, even more. So he did what he could, but it wasn't enough to fully get out of his way, as we now have the P2 man Shadowglow have a big slide coming out of the chicane, but he is still on his lap, and he has just aborted it as I say that. So the big slide has cost him. He is going to charge his ERS, maybe go for another lap, or just peel into the pit lane and start all over.
Yeah, he's got relatively early in comparison to other people, so maybe want to try and get 2 laps just in case he validates the first lap. Cucumber is also out of the circuit as well, so he's gone rather early. But yeah, it's a tactic I do because I like to go early as well, just in case I validate my first lap. I've always got the second lap to do. But it's so frustrating if you validate the third sector because you can't regenerate the ERS because you run out of it obviously before you make your way towards the line. So if you see Shadowglow just trying to gain as much ERS and battery as he can before he starts his next lap. He rounds the final corner. He lost momentum coming out of turn 7, just lost the back end of the car. Then headed in towards 8, he missed the apex and compromised the line into 9. So he backed off knowing that he loses time. So we make our way down into turn 1 once again for Shadowglow. So let's see how he takes this. Down to second, up to third immediately. We saw QVR Gary do that as well. So he straight the car out of turn 1. Now making our way down into turn number 2 there. Where is the real reference point at turn 2? Where do you look to brake bump here? Because I know you run low line.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit tricky. I think it's just before the 50 meters, but everyone has their own way of taking it, and everyone has their own way they want to do it. Shadowglow is his own way of doing turn 4, but that wasn't the correct way, clipping the inside curb. Lost a little bit of momentum, had to catch the car, and definitely lost a little bit of time, as he does here as well, just on the grass. Managed to keep it though nice and tidy through the rest of the sector. So he's on used tires. I'm not sure if he's gonna improve on his lap. He is improving in the second sector alone, but he's not improving on his lap overall, as his ERS is also getting dangerously low. If that goes under 10%, he will be derating and losing power on the straight. Let's see if Shadowglow can find some time in this last sector.
Massive oversteer once again as he goes out wide, loses a bit of time on the curve too. He goes into P2 or stays P2 with a 14.8 as well. He did oversteer out of turn 4 too, so he lost a lot of time unfortunately on his second lap. And now we've got Cucumber, who's already improved the first sector by a tenth as he glances the curb, going through turn 7, now through 8, turn 9 we go. You can just see there balancing the throttle and the brake too, going through turn 9 and flicking into turn 10. I think this is turn 11 now as we make our way downhill into turn 12. He's almost 2 tenths up in the middle sector. Looking good for Cucumber so far. Can he keep it nice and tidy? Because we've seen a few people lose the rear end of the car, unsurprisingly, as the tyres get hot at this part of the track here on their flying lap. Then really working that throttle application really well as well as we make our way now towards the final corner. Cucumber with the DRS open. What lap time can he set? It's a 14.4 and he goes quicker by 2 tenths as well. So what an amazing lap time. Is anybody out there going to beat Cucumber? Looking on fine form so far. Where's he been in the last few races? But can anybody try and snatch back pole as our main contenders now will start to head out of the pit lane, such as Russell, QVR, Gamble as well. Both Alpines go side by side as well with each other. Not quite sure what's going on there between the two Alpines, but unfortunately for Campbell, as Russell there cuts the track and puts debris on his tyres as well. But QVR Campbell, who got caught out in the last few races, there's a tyre at the exit of turn 6. Can I see 2 tyres there? Well, I saw 2 tyres there, but there's definitely a tyre on the track, so that must have been P's or Luke's tyres stranded in the middle of the track. There's Verstappen has retired. That's very interesting then. Is he saving a set of softs, predicting a safety car early doors or later in the race? The Shadow Close retired because he's completed his lap time, so he can't go out there anymore. But yeah, Verstappen then retiring early doors in his qualifying. Not really satisfied, but does he think saving a set of softs is the way to go?
I mean, considering it's 2-stop, of course, which you have to do, and softs are really good around Hungary. Even if it's a 1-stop, soft medium is probably the way to go. So I think saving a softs is if he chose 4 sets of softs for this qualifying. He's done 2 runs, which leaves him with 2 fresh sets. The strategy will be either medium soft soft or soft medium soft. So he is definitely in a good position for the race. If he's going to start in a good position as well, that remains to be seen. With that qualifying, of course, he can't improve on his lap. Cucumber retiring as well, but he is sitting nice and tidy up the top with the 14.4. Gary, the first one to cross the line and to start his lap, and he has already passed the first sector where he has found nearly, a small tenth, let's put it that way, and that is what he's going to need to go into the top 10 at least. If he can find even more time, it will be around P7. I think he can beat P's if he has a good middle sector. Lift again for this corner, and there is a good middle sector, 10th and a half improvement for the McLaren, which would put him currently in just about in P9, P8, that sort of region. But there is still a sector to go, which he is currently navigating. In the last corner, he is down to 3rd, up to 4th for the exit. DRS wide open. Does he go into P7? He does, with 0.07 of a second.
Good lap time indeed. Just behind his McLaren teammate there is Gary, but we've got Russell in the Mercedes coming towards the final corner, Alpine, sorry. But here he is then. He's improved in 2.10s, but is this going to be enough to take pole? As he crosses the line now, it's a 14.6. He goes ahead of Shadow Glow, and just behind here, Cucumber there. Here comes Campbell, who crosses the line, goes up into P3. Next man to cross the line is Hazara. He hasn't set a lap time just yet, neither has Fleddy. Here comes the Norwegian, cross the line now. Finally puts the lap time on the board. It's good enough for P5, but Sweet Crown is improving in the middle sector by a tenth. So let's see where Sweet Crown goes in the Mercedes. They've got a Ferrari across the line now. That's Fleddy going up to P9. Here comes Sweet Crown. Goes up into P3, splits both Alpines. Aston Martin, I think, or Chris, is making his way towards the line, stays P14. We've got an Alfa Romeo with Frank, who stays in P7, and the other Ferrari and Nuth in the Ferrari in P12, going 3/10 quicker. He goes up into P5. In fact, that's a great lap time from Nuth there. Looks like he was struggling early doors, but finally gets a good lap time on the board. He goes up into P5 with a 14.7. So good surprises there at the end of qualifying. Cucumber stays on pole with Russell in P2. Sweet Crown in P3. It's always an interesting race with Sweet Crown and Russell are close together. Campbell, another great qualifying again, but we have seen in the past where Campbell is the second best driver and he gets stuck in a double stack when a safety car comes out. So not ideal for him. He has been caught out multiple times this season due to that double stack. We saw it at the French GP as well. But let's see then what happens here at the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's shaped up to be a good race. So Bobia, thank you for reminding me that's a 2-stop race, because I always forget every single week that it's a 2-stop race. So if you hadn't told me, I'd be wondering why someone's making a second stop when it's clearly a 1-stop strategy. So yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I know it can be a little bit tricky, especially if when it's not the usual standard. I was just on board with Frank as well, as he invalidated his lap time, so that explains why he didn't improve on his lap time. One driver who can be a little bit disappointed with his qualifying can be Verstappen, who is in P2, of course, in the standings, P9 in this qualifying. He has to make some work of it to prevent maybe Shadow Glow to overtake him, who is in P6, so 3 places ahead of him for the Williams driver. He can have a good haul of points if he can convert that good starting position into a good race result as well. Russell, though, at the top of the championship, he can win it. Results of Verstappen and Shadow go in his favor. I don't know the exact maths on what he needs to do, what other needs to do to win the title, but he's definitely in a position to do it today. If he wins and the other 2 DNFs, then it's a definite done. In any other scenario, we need to get the calculator out. So it's a big day for him if he can convert.
Yeah, big pressure on Verstappen to try and close in on the championship, but with only 3 races left to go, it's looking ever more unlikely as the championship goes on. He's got about 56 points to make up in the last 3 races, so where can he do it? He best hope that Russell DNFs in the next race or so, or has a bad result somewhere, so that his championship aspirations will be kept alive between Russell and Verstappen in the Alpine and McLaren there. Verstappen only won 2 races this season, whereas Russell has won about 6 of them this season as well, so he's definitely had the upper hand on Verstappen throughout the season. Verstappen, last time he beat Russell was back at the Australian Grand Prix, where we saw that fantastic move around the outside into turn 9 and turn 10, and that's the last result he had. That was really good for him as well, but other than that, luckily he has been struggling, although he has had a podium back at the Belgian Grand Prix where he was on the Inters till the end of the Grand Prix, where others were on the dry compound tyres. That was a risky strategy call, because we know that 5 or 6 seconds could be made in one lap in comparison between the Inters and the dry. So there is your tyre strategy choices, some on softs, some on hards, and some on the medium compound tyres. It is a 2-stop, just to remind you and myself, and we'll see what the best strategy is, Bob Pierre.
Yeah, I mean, the ones who starts on hards, I definitely didn't save 2 sets of softs, which is of course logical, as you usually do 3 runs in qualifying, which means you are basically eliminated from doing 2 sets of softs in the race. And Alpine going into the grass, that's an interesting way to warm up the tires, but you do you. Everyone has their own way. Let's just put it that way. So I think it will be crucial for the top 2 not to fight too much, just to run away with it, and I hope that P3 and P4 will hold up the other soft runners and not be able to keep up with them. Then further down the field, Verstappen, he is of course one who has 2 sets of softs for the race, so he is gonna want to make sure he's gonna overtake Frank at the start, and then later on in the first stint maybe overtakes Friedkin and Campbell as well. It depends on how much he can progress, how fast he is progressing. And then further down the field, medium runners just staying out of trouble. Of course, for everyone is important, but if you're down the field of mediums, especially hard runners, they can maybe, if they get a little bit of damage, it isn't as detrimental for their race as it is for others, as they can just go to soft medium for the rest of the race, which is definitely a good strat if you get damage lap 1. As now we see the cars lining up in the grid, and Jamie being a little bit silent.
Yeah, I was on mute, sorry. I was speaking, but I wondered why you spoke. But yeah, not the first time I've done that. So all 16 drivers are lined up on the grid then with Cucumber Pole. How hard are the top 2 going to fight in this Grand Prix? Because they know the hard runners of Sweetcran and Campbell right behind them as well. Campbell's gone for a different tyre choice, understandably, towards his teammate, of course, trying to avoid that double stack. But here are the lights then, ready to get going. And we are underway for the Hungarian Grand Prix for round 12. Let's see who gets a better start off the line. And here comes Russell, immediately side by side with Cucumber. Then let's see what happens down into turn 1. Russell has got the inside line going into 1. He's overtaken, but there's a bit of contact there because Hazara's come out of nowhere, makes contact, went 3 abreast. The Ferrari's off the track. He's lost a few places. That's Newt, unfortunately, who's dropped himself down in 7th place. Here's Hazara on them soft compound tyres, trying to make the best out of them. Go wheel to wheel in turn 2. Now heading towards turn 3. 6 wheel on the inside now. He should have to run up to turn 4, but who is going to yield? Who is going to keep it out into turn 4? Hazara trying to stick around the outside, goes off the track there. They still remain side by side. and Hazara and Sweetcrown risking it all on the first opening lap there, going wheel to wheel. Hazara's desperate to overtake the Mercedes driver, still making contact there, but there's more contact as well, and here comes Shadowglow trying to capitalise as Nuth and Campbell are fighting over 6th and 7th place. Here comes Nuth around the outside and has the inside line on the inside. There's a Red Bull and Lifeboat, unfortunately, who has gone for a spin already this Grand Prix, but so far it is Russell who is ahead of Cucumber. A bit of a gap between Sweetcrown as he had to contend with Hazara on the soft compound tyres, being very aggressive indeed, and AlphaTauri Appease has gone straight off the track there at turn number 12. Not quite sure if he outbroke himself or made contact with somebody else, but anyways, your leaders are Russell and Cucumber as we round off lap 1 heading to turn 2. That was a fantastic fight between Sweetcrown and Hazara, but it's not over yet because Hazara's soft compound tyres will be the best tyres, and here he is there, pulls the right hand side immediately to take P3 away, and he's finally done it. He prefers to do it on the first lap to keep a contention to Cucumber and Russell, but had to wait a bit longer.
Yeah, and this is of course the ideal scenario for the top 2, as Hazara has now under 50% ERS already, which means he can't push as much as he wants to. Verstappen as well, overtaking Campbell. Soft versus hards once again, easy overtake for the McLaren further down the field, as he isn't making up as much ground as he may have wanted, still stuck behind a medium runner of Frank at P7, who is doing well on those mediums compared to all the soft tyres. Lifeboat into the pit lane with damage on lap 1. He's the only one who is not in this train anymore. So not a great start for him. Not a great start for Verstappen. Did make one position though, but his battery is running a little bit low. Not ideal for him. And Campbell as well, of course, going from P4 down to P9. He is on hard tyres, to be fair to him, but still losing 5 positions in the space of 2 laps can never beat what you want.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there for QVR Campbell. There's a lot of things happening in turn number 1, a lot of action as well. We did see 3 abreast at one point with Nuth went off the track. Hazara came out of nowhere, had the best launch, making up 4 places off the start as well. Cucumber sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and here comes Shadowglow then. Next driver to overtake Sweetcrown on the hard compound tyres as he goes up the inside. Sweetcrown shouldn't worry too much, although he might go for a switchback on Shadowglow there, but couldn't quite get the exit he needed, and he stays behind the Williams driver for the time being. However, Frank and Verstappen are fighting over P7. Frank could have been in compound tyres, and you can see Campbell there just trying to hold on as well. But Verstappen struggling at this stage of the Grand Prix because he's got Frank on the mediums right behind him too. So Verstappen there desperately needs to try and catch up towards the guys, stay in the DRS range, otherwise Frank will take him on. But Hazara now up to P3. The battle for P3 on the first lap really did cost Hazara. Now the DRS is enabled. Will Hazara find it difficult to get back in DRS range of Cucumber and Russell? The last time we saw Hazara and Russell fight back in the Belgian Grand Prix was in the wet too, and Hazara came out on top, but the battle between himself and Sweetcrown really did cost him a lot of time. So let's see if we can try and make up the time before the DRS is enabled.
I don't think he can. It's already lap 3. He's 1.8 seconds behind with a low battery. The top 2 would just DRS each other, and I think drive away even more. The gap's almost 2 seconds. There's no chance that the Haas can make that up, especially with Cucumber now opening his rear wing and just having a lot more straight line speed than what the guy in P3 does. Nuth he's lining up a move on Sweetcrown. Of course, he wants to get past the Mercedes as he is on 2 compounds softer tires than what Sweetcrown is. But he can't make it sick just yet on this lap. Maybe next lap, but then he is in danger of falling out of the DRS as well, as Sweetcrown is just going to lose a lot of time in that middle sector. Already on 7/10 and 3/10 is quite likely to be the difference in the middle sector between those tires. Further down the field, Fleddy has made the move on a hard runner as Campbell goes off the track as well, picking up a warning for track limits. Lifeboat in the pit lane once again, and this time he has retired the car. Not a long Grand Prix for the Red Bull at all.
Nah, I don't know what happened to Lifeboat in the first lap. I think he spun the first lap, not quite sure, but Lifeboat's race has already been done and dusted in the pit lane, unfortunately for the Red Bull driver. As we can see on board with Chris, they're getting close to the back of Campbell. Campbell is struggling in these early stages, obviously on the hard compound tyres, not getting the grip he wants, where the mediums and softs definitely had the advantage there. So the top 2 left as on their own, with Hazara defending from Shadowglow right behind him too, with Sweetcrown dipping out of DRS range. Now he has, and Nuth will be all over the back of him, sets up a move into turn 1, but here comes Shadowglow on the Haas man. He goes up into P3 now. Can he chase the leading pack? And here comes Sweetcrown and Nuth. Nuth is up into to P5 ahead of the Mercedes driver. Goes a bit deep to turn 1. Can Sweetcloud get the under and over? But he doesn't have the DRS on this straight because he wasn't in the detection point before the final corner. Remember, there's only one detection point for these two DRS zones, which is before the final corner. That's why Sweetcloud didn't have the DRS on the second straight. But he's down into P6. Not bad for Sweetcloud because he's on the hard compound tyres, so he's expected to get swamped by these soft runners. But the advantage should swing back his way in a few laps time because the soft tyres are not really the best tyres around here in Hungary. They deteriorate really quickly around here as well. So Sweetcloud should have to wait for the patient game as well. But I do a two-stop strategy around. Well, I've got to do a two-stop race because it's mandatory in a different league. I don't really go for the hard compound tyres unless something major happens in the first opening lap. So I can take that hard compound tyre and try to save the medium tyres as well. Save a set of softs just in case of a late safety car, which has caught me out plenty of times in the past, not having a set of soft compound tyres to defend and try and stay in P1, because that's really cost me in the past as well, having all the tyres, having used them all in qualified as well. But Cucumber still in the back of Russell for P1, but I bet these two are just going to follow each other, trade DRS. You can see the DRS they have on board with the Alfa Romeo, and he easily overtakes Russell to go back up into P1. Further behind, Sweetcloud's right behind Nuth again. He goes side by side with him into turn 1. Later the brakes is the Mercedes driver. Did Nuth get DRS there? I'm not quite sure. Let's see if he did. No, he didn't. So Nuth wasn't in the detection point behind Hazara, and Sweetcloud's up to P5, capitalising from the Ferrari and puts himself back into P5 ahead of the soft runner.
Yeah, I think it was Nuth making a mistake in the last sector. The penultimate corner, he went a bit deep, which caused him to fall out of the DRS, and of course Sweetcloud making the most of that and re-overtaking the Ferrari now on those hard tyres, which aren't as bad as they were in the beginning of the race. You can see that by the time. Just he's keeping up with the guys ahead, maybe even catching, as he's back within the second. Now he's out, now he's back. It's gonna be very tight if he can get into the DRS detection point at the right time, but he has made a lot of ground already in this middle sector, so I think the Mercedes is gonna do it. He runs a little bit wide, that's a warning, and you don't want to get 3 of them, which will result in a penalty if you do. But he has made it to the DRS, so now P3 down to P15 is one harmonious train again. Beautiful to see.
Yes, it is indeed. Expect a lot of DRS trades, but into the pit lane comes Nuth and Verstappen, so they didn't really make up a lot of positions on the soft compound tyres. The softs are probably coming to the end of their peak performance then, as those two enter the pit lane line astern. So there'll be splits. There'll be splits in the midfield there. Fleddy overtakes Frank, who goes up into P6, but outbreaks himself, and Frank may be able to take advantage of his teammate, well I say teammate, in the Esports teammate, as Fleddy stays ahead of Frank for the time being. These two had a great battle back at the first GP. I do believe they were practicing with each other as well, as I was in the ILT party with them, and Fleddy's ahead of Frank as well for the time being. But yeah, the soft runners are in the pit lane then. Let's see if any of the guys ahead respond. Hazara think should respond as well, but you can see there the Verstappen oversteer from Shadowglow really struggling on those soft compound tyres at the exit of turn 5 there, almost lost the back end of the car, as Pease becomes the first driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty, and I expect more people to pick up penalties because it's such a brutal track for track limits as well. I will be surprised if any more drivers pick up track limits, but we'll see at the end of this lap if anybody else who comes to the pit lane. Verstappen's rejoined behind Nuth. They're in P4, they're in P15, trying to make that undercut work as they pitted earlier to try and undercut their rivals in front. But let's see if anybody else responds as well. Sweetcloud's all over the back of Hazara, pushing through the corners as well, so the soft compound tyres are deteriorating really fast as well. And you can see Shadowglow is in the pit lane, but Hazara opts to stay out there. And I think Sweetcloud will overtake Hazara. You can see he moves to the right hand side already to try and break the slipstream, but I don't think he might have any answers here. The straight line speed on the Haas looking good, but as we make our way down to turn 1, Sweetcloud has the inside line into 1, but they contact there as Hazara turns in, and Sweetcloud does not overtake the Norwegian driver, so he stays in P4.
Yeah, for the time being he is unable to overtake the third runner, and this only allows Fleddy and Frank to catch up to both drivers. Let's see where Shadowglow comes out in relation to Nuth and Verstappen, and he is still in front of the Ferrari, so the undercut hasn't worked for Nuth and Verstappen on Shadowglow. Maybe it will work on Hazara, as he was, I think he was behind Shadowglow when everyone pitted, so with that battle as well, of course, with Sweetcloud, I'm assuming Hazara will come out the back of this little train that is forming at the back of the field. Then of course with fresher tyres he might be able to re-overtake them all, but on Hungary it is quite tricky to do so. He is managing his ERS quite nicely, but the gap between P2 and P3 is just keep on growing throughout these laps, almost 4 seconds now, with the battle, of course, and the DRS that the top two still have on each other as Russell goes into the pit lane to put on a new set of tires. Doesn't want to be in P2 anymore, maybe trying to undercut Cucumber in P1, going to the mediums. He will probably rejoin in P12, right behind P's, and comfortably ahead of Shadowglow, as there is Hazara versus Sweet Crown. Part 3, 4, what is it? Now in turn 3 they are making contact once again. Sweet Crown was off track in turn 1, keeping it side by side through turns 3 and maybe 4 as well, using all of their ERS. No contact once again, and still side by side through turn 4. Hazara going off track as Suikan used to curb on the inside. Fleddy now making use of that, and Hazara probably got an illegal overtake on Suikan, has to let him go, but then he has a big moment. Frank goes off track, cuts the chicane. Hazara, more contact between him and Campbell. Chris overtakes him now, so the Norwegian in one lap from P2 to P7 because of an illegal overtake.
Yeah, Frank unfortunately had to go off the track as Zara went up the inside again, but Frank let somebody go. I think he overtook somebody off the track, and now here comes Hazara as well. Hazara's really, he's racing really aggressively against Sweetcar. He was late, he was moving late, he was outbraking himself, he wouldn't let Sweetcar go, and I think he should enter the pit lane this lap to get rid of those soft compound tyres, because he's definitely losing a lot of grip. Cucumber is in the pit lane too, as Hazara's fighting with Frank in the pit lane. About to say, I thought he would give him a 5-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane there, but thankfully he didn't, and Frank managed to hit the limiter before he got tapped to the back of the Haas there. So let's see what others come out in comparison towards Cucumber now, who's pitted. I saw somebody change their wing, not quite sure who it was a split second, but here is Shadow Glow versus Cucumber into turn 1, and Shadow Glow has taken the lead of this race. In fact, Russell has, because he's up into P9, so apologies about that one, but I was keeping an eye on Hazara because of his antics there against Sweet Crown. But yes, Russell is now the net race leader of this race. He's up into P9, and he's had a massive advantage. He's undercut Cucumber too, for good measure, so he's lost a lot of time there towards Russell.
Yeah, Cucumber being in that train behind Shadowglow is disastrous for him. The one who changed his wing, by the way, was Frank. I think he had a little bit of damage picked up just when that contact was made between him and Hazara, where he needed to cut the chicane in turn 3. So that's his race. Not over, but it's definitely taken a hit, as he's now 7 seconds behind Hazara, and Hazara himself is 10 seconds behind Verstappen. So he's in last place by quite a lot, unfortunately, for the Polishman. Shadowglow leading that train, and Cucumber, he is punching the wall, punching the air, whatever he is in reach, because he is just stuck behind the Williams. The Williams doesn't even have ERS, which will only make him slower. He is already 2 seconds behind Russell. Now Cucumber has gone for the move. Now he is fully passed. He is on fresher tires than the Alpine, who is in front of him. So maybe he can chase him down in the next couple of laps before they make their second pit stop. But it's definitely not what the Alfa Romeo needed.
No, he didn't, so he's up into P10 once again, overtaking the D8 in Williams, and let's see if we can try and catch Russell. He's still got a lot of ERS in comparison towards Russell, because he's on 60%, whereas Russell is on low on battery, so let's see if Cucumber will be able to get back into DRS thanks to his battery saving as well. But yeah, the Williams had 2 laps to undercut these guys, but hasn't quite worked out, so it looks like Shadowglow will be at a disadvantage being on all the tyres there in P11. But yeah, Hazara and Sweetcar, they were really going at it in turn 1 towards turn 4 there, and therefore Hazara came out worst of it. Sweetcar unfortunately picked up an unfair penalty at turn 1 because Hazara squeezed him out of turn 1 and therefore gave him a 3-second time penalty, so that should be removed if he hasn't picked up any more warnings after that. But he's definitely been aggressive, moving late and going to the inside too. But yeah, Frank unfortunately got caught up in all of that, and he was an innocent bystander too. His Doom is in the pit lane to get rid of those medium compound tyres then, as he enters the pit lane with 80km speed limit as well, as Cucumber sets the fastest lap of the race, trying to get back in the DRS range of Russell because Pease is in front. Russell has caught this train, so I think it should be easy for Cucumber to catch up. But how quickly can Russell dispatch these cars on all the tyres there? You can see the blinking light on the back of the AlphaTauri. Russell I thought he could try and go around the outside with the grip advantage he has on those tyres. You can see him switching lines there. He makes contact at the back of the Alpha tyre. You've got to be really careful when approaching drivers on older tyres because they don't carry the same speed as you in the corners. I've been caught out with that a lot of times, being impatient as well. But Russell's still stuck behind the Alpha tyre there. Might give Cucumber a bit of advantage too. But here he is then in the chicane, and Russell backs out of it.
Yeah, just can't get past the AlphaTauri as Hungary, of course. In the middle sector, it's almost impossible to overtake. I thought he was maybe gonna have a look in that chicane, where it is possible to outbrake your opponent and put your car alongside. But this is the first real overtaking opportunity that Russell has, and he takes it into turn 12, and he is past the AlphaTauri, who does make a switchback. So he isn't making it easy for the net race leader. But he can't put up much more of a fight than he did back there. 8-lap older tires and a compound harder as well. Almost impossible to actually keep the car behind. Now Cucumber with more ERS than Peace is gonna breeze past on the straight, going to the inside. Peace trying to defend as hard as he can, but there's just no defending that. As Cucumber now moves up into P7, right behind Russell again, who is looking for a move himself. Maybe on Luke, doesn't get it now. Shadowglow as well, getting past Peace. Still fighting is the AlphaTauri, and a little bit of contact being made, but no major effects there from that little contact. Russell's now, he was stuck behind AlphaTauri last lap, and he is stuck behind an Aston Martin this lap. And Cucumber is just waiting until Russell makes a mistake, until he can pounce on Russell being slow because of this cause.
So Fleddy is our net race leader after overtaking Sweet Crown due to their battle with Hazara and himself, as Fleddy took advantage of that. That's why he's in the lead of this race. And Sweet Crown on the hard compound tyres. But look at that, Russell did get the best exit out of T11, and here was Cucumber back of him too. But Russell will defend from that. Russell got to attack and defend in the right place as well. Got to keep an eye out for Cucumber as we enter the slow speed section of turn 13 here. Fleddy and Sweet Crown are in the pit lane too. And look at that, both of them get out of the way. Lovely, perfect time too to let Russell go. So Russell don't have to worry about overtaking those two. But here we are, Russell have the DRS there, and here is Cucumber all over the back of Russell as well. So Russell being stuck in that pack has allowed Cucumber to get back in DRS range of him. And here is Pease versus Verstappen. Verstappen goes up the inside of Pease and he puts himself up into P4. The Ferrari and Nuth really struggling for traction at turn 1. And he almost lost the car too for good measure as he stays behind the AlphaTauri for the time being. But yes, the rest of the guys have pitted to finish their one-stop strategy and have to pit once again as well. But Fleddy's on the soft compound tyres, Sweet Crown is on a brand new set of medium compound tyres, and Chris on the brand new set of mediums too. Hasn't really worked out for Frank because he pitted early and he hasn't made the jump on the cars ahead. But at the same time, he was the one that changed his front wings. That's why he lost a lot of time. That's a shame there for Frank because he was minding his own business. But we had a rogue Haas of Hazara who's all over the place, and unfortunately just made contact with him at the wrong time in the wrong place in the chicane here. That's why Frank is at the back of this DRS train rather than being forward.
Yeah, unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo in P12. He doesn't have a penalty yet, so he can jump up at least 2 positions with cars ahead of him having that penalty. But he is not in a great position, and he does need to do some catching up back to where he was. He was right behind Fleddy, the leader of this train. And Fleddy, speaking of him, he's on fresh soft, so he's going to pull away from this train, I think, as well. Jum on 2-lap old mediums. Almost going out of that DRS already, so the next lap, I think, will be the last lap where the AlphaTauri can actually open his rear wing. As I say that, Sweet Crown goes past. He is on fresher tires, so he will be faster as well, but he doesn't have the same battery that Jum still has. So that's going to be a bit of a problem for the Mercedes trying to catch Fleddy. Same age of tires, but just the compound is one softer for Fleddy, so he's going to have more pace in him. And he is himself on the pursuit of a driver in Hazara, who is in P6.
Yeah, Hazara on all the tyres then, and the rest of the guys behind him are on fresher tyres. So Fleddy's the first one, and he's on the soft compound tyres. Is Fleddy then choosing that for his middle stint there? Is the IRT driver with Sweet Crown on his tail too, with you in the rear wing. But look at this, Cucumber, Verstappen, Shadowglow and Russell too, the top 4 in the championship, all close together. But obviously there's a big points deficit between Verstappen and Russell there. Cucumber they're looking for a race made in Hungary. It looks like he's got some decent pace here tonight, especially in pole position when he took pole by 2/10 with a 14.4. But Russell got ahead of him into turn number 1, and he also undercutted him too. But Russell, when he got stuck behind that pack, he allowed Cucumber to be all over the back of him too. But as we head down towards turn number 1, you can see the back of the car flashing for Russell, as Cucumber has a massive EMS advantage there, so he could try and save that and pounce on him at the right time in the right place. Sweetcrown has set the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Campbell is ahead of Frank there. He puts himself up into P11 as Campbell. Not quite sure how Campbell's dropped so far back, in honesty, but he started the soft compound tyres. I think he did. Or was it the hard?
No, he started on hards. He fell down in that first stint, just went long. He's now on basically the freshest tyres of the entire field, but he has paid for that. Doing the overcuts, of course, you're gonna fall down a lot, especially if drivers around you are on fresher tyres.
Yeah, that makes it so. Yeah, Campbell then, so we went for that long first stint on those tyres, and that's why he's dropped so far back. But will it be better for him later on in this race once he has the freshest tyres? Fleddy's all over the back of Hazara as well, so keep that battle in mind. And Sweetcrown versus Hazara again, so we'll see how it unfolds, because last time those two fought, both occasions they end up in contact as well. I'm not quite sure why that's been the case, but anyways, around the final corner for Cucumber and Russell, DRS is wide open. When will Cucumber decide to pounce? Because he might stay behind him, but yes, he's using the battery right now, and he overtakes him for the lead of this race then. So Cucumber looks like he's in the best advantage so far in terms of the ERS. When he used the ERS to pull away and break a second, you can see him using the ERS already on this straight. But here comes Fleddy and Hazara down into turn 1. Goes up the inside, nicely overtake there for Fleddy. And for the third time, Sweetcrown will have to fight Hazara. Let's see how it goes down for the third time in a row.
Yeah, around the outside of turn 4 this time for Sweetcrown. Keeping it in, using the curb on the outside, contact again, I think a little bit, but this time no one going off track, no one going into the wall, no one getting damage. So that is chapter 3 done and dusted, and they're now just going their own races again, different strategies, or different stages of their stints that they are in. Hazara on 7-lap mediums isn't going to have the same pace as Sweetcrown currently does, and the Mercedes just needs to focus on staying with Fleddy, who is going way faster than his teammate ahead, and the gap is now only 3.6 seconds. I think it was around 7-8 seconds a couple of laps ago. Of course, he has a lot fresher tires, a lot softer tires, so he's gonna just naturally have more pace. But no one in that top 6 has the DRS, so the DRS train has fallen apart. And when Fleddy catches up, and when Sweetcrown catches up, when those two get in the DRS of the drivers in front, they can make live work of them and pass them with ease.
And look at the Canadian driver P1 there, has pulled away from Russell. The gap is 1.5. We've got changes in the midfield with Hume and Campbell. Campbell's now up to P10 on the freshest tyres out of the lot after going for that first long stint. Luke is ahead of Frank, he goes up into P13. But yes, the DRS then has been broken. Cucumber is absolutely flying in the Alfa Romeo there with the better tyres and more ERS. He's used that to his advantage and pulled away from Russell. Russell's got no response anymore, unfortunately for him. So he's 1.7 seconds behind. He could be a long way from there, try and get himself back in the DRS range. So the closest battle we've got on the track now is Sweetcrown versus Fleddy, Campbell versus Chris as well. And we'll see how the next half of the race pans out with more stops yet to come.
Yeah, indeed, those two battles are the ones to keep an eye out on. But I don't think it's going to be Fleddy versus Sweetcrown. It's going to be Fleddy with Sweetcrown overtaking the cars ahead. Now only 1.4 seconds, so the gap is closing by over a second a lap. If Fleddy can hook up this corner, he might have DRS. It's going to be really close. Crossing the line now, then he just got it. He sacrificed the last corner to get that DRS, but he has got a Sweetcrown out of the last corner going wide. So that is another warning, and that 3 seconds not getting removed anytime soon, or even at the end of the race. So he will keep that 3 second definitely. Fleddy has DRS and move D rating as well as Fleddy as well as Sweetcrown. So no one at an advantage there. Verstappen just ahead, also under the 10% rate. They're all gonna have a little bit of a struggle when Fleddy comes, and now it's team orders at Ferrari as Nuth lets Fleddy go, who is up into P5 and now chases after Verstappen.
Yeah, so Fleddy there in his middle stint on the soft compound tyres, looking to hunt down. He's looking really quick. Is the RLT driver of Fleddy? Can he hunt down Verstappen? He's right there in front of him. The gap is 1.5 seconds. There's still life in these soft compound tyres. Yeah, Sweet Crown now is all over the back of the Ferrari driver. Could probably help Fleddy to try and break Sweet Crown out of his DRS. And there he is there. They've been set to the gap is now 1.2 between Nuth and Fleddy. So he's helped his teammate by allowing him holding up to Sweet Crown and not getting himself in the DRS. So that's really good tactics there for Ferrari to allow Fleddy to pull away and catch the others while Sweet Crown has to overtake Nuth on the track. But as we make our way now towards the final corner, Verstappen is in the pit lane then to go on to a brand new set of the medium compound tyres again. And here comes Sweet Crown on Nuth. He puts himself up now into P6 ahead of the Ferrari driver. Being frustrated to be stuck behind the other Ferrari because he's broke the DRS now towards himself and Fleddy. But we've got more changes as well with Chris. We've got 3 abreast, but we're going down to turn 1 with Chris, Hazara and Campbell. And Campbell is the winner out of the 3. He puts himself up into P7 with Chris having DRS as well. And he stays in P8 then. So it looks like Hazara's dropped 2 places there. Looks like Hazara was in front of the train. They lost 2 places at turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lot older style, so it does make sense that he's getting overtaken by these guys. Just a matter of damage control for the Norwegian currently. As, of course, having a little bit of an incident further early on in the race, losing a lot of time because of that. But I'm surprised to see Verstappen not going for that soft strategy that I thought he would have. Saving a set of softs in qualifying, of course. He is now onto a fresh set of medium, looking to do 15 laps on that tire. He did 13 or 12, I think, on the last one, so he needs to stretch that stint more than he did the first one. No one of the top 3 going into the pit lane. Fleddy and Sweet Crown, of course, on the freshest tires. They're not going to pit either, and it's currently looking like Sweet Crown might overtake Fleddy into turn 1. I think his tires are performing at a little bit of a better rate as well. 7 level medium versus 7 level softs. We saw that in the beginning. A lot of drivers pitting around that 7 lap mark on the softs, so they're probably now at the stage, the crossover, where mediums and hards will perform better, but no one, of course, on the hards, so that's quite irrelevant. Sweet Crown making his way up to P4, chasing down Shadow Glow.
Yeah, like the first stint, Verstappen is pitted rather early compared to his rivals, and the second stint he's done it again then, trying to go for that undercut. Surprised there's not been any virtuals or safety cars in this race. We had one retirement, which is in the pit lane for life bar, as he only did about 2 laps and that was it for him, unfortunately. So let's see if any of the guys are going to pit or extend their stint to go to the stock compound tyres towards the other Grand Prix. But looks like Cucumber is in the better place so far in this race. In P1, I got a gap of 3 seconds ahead of his nearest rival of Russell in P2 there. So it looks like Cucumber will end Russell's winning streak. And let's see if anybody is going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. No, they're not. But Russell then is going to pit this lap, try to undercut on Cucumber as he makes his way now into the pit lane on lap 22 out of 35.
14 laps he is looking to do on that medium tire, the same as Shadow Glow is currently doing. So the undercuts will be strong. He will be around Cucumber definitely again, maybe in front. That depends on how good the in-lap and the out-lap will be of respectively Cucumber and Russell, of course. If Russell may be getting some traffic, as he is right behind Verstappen there side by side into turn 1. Who's going to come out of top? Both no DRS, no ERS. They do, Russell and Verstappen both low, but they do have some left. Verstappen having a lot better exit and warm up tires, as you see there. Russell having moments of oversteer in turn 3, turn 2 that is, and that confirms the battle done. Verstappen through on Russell, so the undercut of 2 laps has worked for the McLaren. He's currently in a net P2, I think, and if he can really get the pace done, he will be on for a net P1.
Yeah, he's got an Alfa Romeo right in his way, and that is IRT Frank, so he's holding up Verstappen for the time being, but Verstappen will be frustrated in these mid-speed corners as he'll be slowed down by the Alfa Romeo, so might give Cucumber a bit of advantage well as he makes his way towards the line then, so he won't pit. You can see Frank is ready defending hard, his Shadow Glow is in the pit lane to get rid of his medium compound tyres. Where will he rejoin in comparison to these guys here? Frank puts on a massive challenge as well against Verstappen, and here comes Russell now on the outside of Frank as they've both been released, and Russell have the DRS at the back of Verstappen then. So let's see what happens down into turn 1. Where will Shadow Glow rejoin? And Russell has the DRS at the back of Verstappen. Should be an easy move with the DRS there, and here is Russell then. Overtakes Verstappen for P11. Here comes Frank as well, but doesn't make the move. As we can see in the background, Shadow Glow came out of the pit lane to put on a brand new set of medium compound tyres and take them towards the end. So Cucumber is left to pit to do his 2-stop as well, and we'll see how powerful it is. Cucumber will be definitely undercutted by Russell and co, but will the fresher tyres make the deficit towards the end of the Grand Prix? It did in the last stint, so let's see if it does in this next stint.
Yeah, I think we've seen it now as well with Russell and Verstappen. The Alpine have just a lot more grip in that last sector, and now as well Verstappen is still coping very nicely, but he is going to lose a lot of time in this middle sector compared to Russell on those fresh mediums. You can just see him tractioning away already over half a tenth. So Cucumber pitting now. He will probably come out behind Verstappen and Russell, maybe even behind Frank, and that can throw a big spanner in the works if he gets traffic again. Fleddy pitting now as well. Sweetcorn staying out. Maybe he's going for that set of softs at the last stint, starting on hards, now mediums, then to softs probably for the last. Double stack for Ferrari, which is not best idea. We've seen them working well with the strat before. This time they might have made a little bit of a mistake. Cucumber versus Russell into turn 1. Who's going to be ahead in this? Cucumber quite easily, I think, as well, but he isn't going to have the best of exits as he just came out of the pit lane. Cold tires. Russell's going to go for it in the exit of turn 2, making a little bit of contact, wheel banging going on between the pair, but they've made it through the turns. Cucumber just warming up the tires in behind the Alpine, and he is going to probably make the move next lap with a lot more ERS, with fresher tires. He's going to breeze past the Alpine. I'm very certain of that.
Yeah, like he did in the last few laps as well before they pitted, but I'm surprised that Russell, despite still out there 2 laps earlier, has Cucumber right behind him. I thought it'd be way behind Cucumber, but he's had really good pace on those last medium compound tyres. He's come out of the pit lane right behind Russell, so it hasn't gone downhill for him yet. You can see that the DRS will be enabled for him as the battery is low for Russell once again. He's only got 10% in his disposal. Shadow Glow has overtaken Frank. He puts himself up into P11. Then the Sweet Crown has entered the pit lane. Nuth gets a 3-second time penalty. Campbell is leading the Grand Prix. And let's see that Cucumber does breeze past Russell. You can see Russell there trying to use the ERS he hasn't got. But I don't think Cucumber will go for it in turn 1. He's not close enough to do so on that occasion. Pease is up the inside of Luke going into turn 1. Has he got a boost stick? I think he has for the time being, but you can see Luke there trying to fight back on the exit of turn 1. But Pease has the DRS, and the guys behind are the net race leaders, but they've caught drivers once again on all the tyres, so let's see if that's supposed to spanner in the works and see if it holds them up, which it definitely does for sure.
Yeah, we've seen it with Frank, who's now on 15 lap or soft tyres. He's going to have snail pace at this current stage. The tires are dead. And with Fleddy and Sweet Crown just behind, they went side by side in turn 1 with a Sweet Crown coming out of the pit lane on fresh soft tires, but Fleddy doing the undercut. He's now on a set of mediums, and he's closing up on Frank, who may have something to say about this battle. If he stays out, he doesn't. He goes out of the way. He goes off the track, doesn't want to interfere anymore. A little bit of a battle going on further ahead, and it is Luke on old tires versus Russell on fresh in sector 3, and Russell needs to get this move done to get a car in between him and Cucumber, but that car has gone into the pit lane at the moment. He did. Gary and Chris as well further up the field, they went into the pit lane, and now Russell is looking for the move on Peace, which he needs to do in this lap, otherwise he's going to be stuck behind the AlphaTauri once more. We've had this in the second stint as well. Now they're in the third stint, and it looks like Russell is going to get past in turn 2. Needs to make a little bit of a dive for it though, and the gap is just closing because Peace, of course, just steers into the corner because Russell wasn't there yet, and now it is looking like Cucumber might have a look into turn 4. He doesn't, stays behind and just chooses to bide his time. Peace with another 3-second time penalty with track limits. Turn 4 easy to do if you go out a little bit too wide, and they're just stuck in this train. Verstappen, Cucumber and Russell, they all need to wait now, and this only allows Shadowglow to get closer. Sweetcrown and Fleddy as well. They will be looking at the map and seeing this, and they will be laughing.
Yeah, indeed. Shadowglow there on the good tyres as well. Only 3-lap old tyres compared to Verstappen's 6-lap old, so he should be catching him rapidly as well, especially in the middle sector where Pease is holding everybody up like he did at the French GP, but it might be short-lived because he might be coming to the pit lane at the end of this lap, which he is. And here's Campbell in the pit lane too to get rid of those medium compound tyres, and Sweetcrown has put on a set of soft compound tyres then as well to go to the end of this race. But here is Cucumber. Russell has the DRS too, but Cucumber has more battery. Russell force him all the way to the right hand side as we head down towards turn 1, putting Cucumber at a cute angle there, and Russell trying to go around the outside of turn 1. He's got the DRS again, better exit there for Russell, and he stays ahead for the time being of Cucumber. It might be a bit difficult too because Cucumber has fresher tyres than Russell does, so it's going to be a hard race from there if you try and keep Cucumber at bay for as long as you can. Sweetcrown's on the charge, he's 1.7 seconds behind Shadowglow too.
Yeah, it was a great defense from Russell into turn 1 with no battery compared to almost 70% from Cucumber. He needed to do something to keep that P1 for the time being, and he did. He did it really well. But now he has both Cucumber and Verstappen right on his tail. Shadowglow joining this train as well, and Sweetcrown looking to join the party rather sooner than later for the Mercedes. So it's going to be really, really tight as Cucumber gets a 3-second time penalty, the exit of turn 11, just carrying a little bit too much speed, and that can get the victory to someone else, maybe to Russell, maybe even to Fleddy, who is all the way back 2 seconds behind this train. Sweetcrown now as well in the DRS, and he's gonna make a lot of moves on fresh softs compared to relatively old mediums, which some of these guys have. Moves being made for both P1 and P3. Cucumber getting past Russell though with that switchback. No DRS, no ERS. Does he make that switchback work? He doesn't. A little bit further back, Shadowglow making the move on Verstappen relatively easily, and now it is the turn to Sweetcrown. All eyes on him, as he is looking to get his way up into P2. 1 depends on how long his soft tyres can give him good performance.
Great move from Cucumber there. Russell trying everything he can to try and keep Cucumber at bay, but unfortunately does not have the battery, does not have the tyre advantage, and has conceded place. So Cucumber there trying to make the DRS immediately with the battery he's got, like he did in the middle stint against Russell. Russell might be under pressure. He's already put the 1 second gap in his middle sector here, so Russell is not able to keep, unfortunately. Great driving from Russell, but it's not enough to keep Cucumber at bay, so we've got to watch out for guys behind too. Can Russell stay within 3 seconds of this race? Because if he does, that means he'll win the Grand Prix. Sweetcrown's overtaking Verstappen in an unconventional overtaking place at turn 12. He's on those soft compound tyres, of course, giving that grip advantage he needs, and he's up into P4. Is he going to be a challenge for this race? He could be a challenge for a podium, but at the same time he has got a 3 second time penalty. Sweetcrown looking mighty fast in this last sector. I wonder what could it have been for Sweetcrown if it wasn't for Hazara as well, especially that first stint when they were fighting so hard, and the second stint too. But we'll see what Sweetcrown could do in this third stint here, where he lost a lot of time due to that battle with Hazara, a lot of bumping and barging off the track as Knuth has been overtaken by Campbell, who goes up into P8. Then he's on a fresh set of the medium compound tyres, looking to gain on his rivals ahead. He'll be a threat towards the end of this race as well on those fresher mediums. Let's see how many positions he can make up, but with 6 laps left to go in this race. But all eyes now on the bats for P2, and also to see if Cucumber can try and get that gap over 3 seconds. If he can, definitely my driver today for sure, because he's driven a beautiful race here.
Yeah, he is pulling a lot of time compared to Russell. Of course, 2 lap fresh and mediums, that is going to be a difference for around a little bit under 10% on the tyres, which is huge, definitely. And he's just gaining so much in that middle sector. He is going to be outside of 3 seconds in a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Only if a Sweetcrown can get past both cars on this straight, I think Cucumber will have maybe a little bit of a tricky time, because then the Mercedes can just drag both the Alpine and the Williams along. But it doesn't look like Sweetcrown is going to have the straight line speed compared to Shadowglow and Russell to make both moves. Let's have a look at Shadowglow, who is using, and he is going to line up a move into turn 1, very close to contact between both drivers, as Shadowglow going a little bit deep, which allows Russell back ahead for the moment. And it is 3 wide with Sweetcrown as well joining the party into turn 2. Shadowglow squeezing Russell on the inside. Sweetcrown looking for a switchback, can't pull that off. Into turn 3, Also for a move and Russell going off track, that is the move done for Streetcar. Now only Shadow Glow in front of him left, and that Vettel has brought the gap already to 3.5 seconds between P1 and P2. Fleddy is all over the back of Verstappen as well. With that battle, he might be looking on for a podium.
Yeah, he is as well. That was a lot of action going down at turn 1 with 3 abreast out of the corner, and Russell ultimately down into P4 then. So it looks like Shadowglow has the advantage so far. Russell there, not quite sure what happened to him. He got pinched into turn 2, but he tried to keep up the inside, but it didn't work. Verstappen will be under pressure from Fleddy too. Speed cars on the charge, and Russell, who's looking pretty for P2 at the early stage of the Grand Prix, now hanging on and trying fighting for a podium, but Speed Crown does have a 3-second time penalty as well. Russell can be really careful not to try and get an instance, because obviously it can have effect in the championship. And here we are around the final corner with Speed Crown all over the back of Shadowglow, and he puts that Mercedes up into P2 as well. So great comeback drive from Speed Crown there after battle with Azar. And further down the field we've got Fleddy Verstappen, as Fleddy goes up into turn 1 ahead of QVR Verstappen. So Verstappen is paying the price as Nuth gets ahead of Hazard, who dropped back from Campbell the last lap, and this lap he's been overtaken by Nuth as well. But Verstappen, unfortunately, is paying the price by pitting earlier, and the guys ahead with the freshest tyres are gaining a massive advantage of him too, with Chris fighting with Hazard, who's been dropped down to P10 as well, has the Norwegian driver. So not a great race for the Norwegian after being up there in P3 for a moment of time, short period of time in the first stint. But all that battling as well, contact, has really demoted him down the field and lost this race.
Yeah, and I think this goes to show that you need to pick your battles wisely. One who benefited of that battle between Hazara and Sweetcrown is Fleddy. He got past both cars in that first stint, and he's now in P5 with fresher tyres than both P3 and P4. A penalty for P2, which he is currently still in range of overtaking. So he's on a net P4. If he can make one move in these last four laps, which it is, going into lap 32 now, he is looking for a podium. When he started, I think, just outside of the top 10, which would be a fantastic race, of course, for the Ferrari, being held by his teammate a little bit as well when they let each other go into turn 4. But P5 nonetheless is a good position for him. No moves being made in this battle. A little bit down the field there are being moves made. Gary getting past Hazara, and now Peace wanting to make the move into turn 2 as well. With a little bit of a dive bomb, they make a little bit of contact with their wheels, but nothing major. Turn 3 still side by side. Going off track is Peace. He's got the move, but has he got a leeway overtake as well? It doesn't look like it so far. Staying ahead of the Norwegian, and that is Peace up into P11.
Yeah, Hazard ready to get his elbows out there, unfortunately, but it's not paid off for him. He's down to P12 now, unfortunately, for the Norwegian driver. But what about Sweet Crown's tyres on those soft compound tyres? Obviously, they're going to go to the end, but what about the offset? Will the medium compound tyres be better than the softs towards the end of the Grand Prix, and therefore Shadow Glow and Russell, maybe Fleddy too, will pounce the Mercedes driver and drop it outside the podium? But he's in a net P2 so far. It's Sweet Crown. Cucumber is definitely going to win this Grand Prix. The only thing that can stop Cucumber winning is a potential safety car, where he might have to pull out a 3-second gap. But I think it's too late now for a safety car, so he should be safe, and he'll be on course to win this Grand Prix after a fantastic drive for the Canadian driver. All lies the battle for P2 there between Sweet Cloud, Shadowglow, Russell and Fleddy, and Fleddy's on the better tyres out of the lot, so we'll keep an eye on him as well in P5 to see if he can try to make any moves. But he's stuck in the DMS trade, and Chris is ahead of Knuth up into turn 1 he goes, and past the Ferrari driver too. Luke is ahead of Tube, who's overtaken him, and he puts himself up into P13. QVR Gary all over the back of Knuth as well, so it looks like Knuth is starting to drop down the field as well on those medium compound tyres. But Sweet Cloud keeping the gap about 9/10 second. He's definitely trying to keep that gap over a second if he can, but he can't do so with the lack of ERS he has against the Williams driver, whose tyres should be a little bit better at this stage in comparison to Sweet Cloud's, with only 2 laps left to go. Every single driver now in this field has done a 2-stop strategy, including Lifeboat, who did it on lap 2 but retired in the race. But with 2 laps left to go in this race, it looks like it's a Cucumber's hand, and nothing could stop him now.
Yeah, I think maybe the train for P2, I don't think there's going to be any moves made. The gaps are currently just too big. No one really with a big advantage. Fleddy just doesn't have the ERS to go for a move, then the rest don't have that big of a tire advantage. The one position that I do see changing, which is quite up the field, is P6 and P7, both on low ERS, but Campbell is just on twice as good as tires. as what Verstappen currently is, 14 versus 7 level mediums. That's going to be a big difference in favor for Campbell. So I think he is the one most likely to make a move on the last lap, and maybe Nuth as well in P9 in the DRS for Chris, but that won't make difference for the final race standings, as Nuth is on 6 seconds with time penalties. He's going to get demoted to P10 definitely, and then maybe Hazara will jump him as well, depending on how far the Norwegian is going to drop with old medium tires. He has a 3-second time penalty as well, maybe more coming after the race with that battle with Sweet Crown, with contact with Frank as well. But coming back to Sweet Crown, he has dropped Shadow Glow out of his DRS, and that can be really good for Russell, as he's only 5 tenths behind, and with DRS he can overtake going into the last lap.
Yes, he can then. So there is Cucumber then in P1, making his way towards the final corner to start the final lap. But all battle then is on P3 between Shadowglow and Russell. Russell's last chance to overtake Shadowglow for the podium, although Sweet Cloud does have a 3-second time penalty to be on the podium regardless, unless he picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. But Shadowglow goes to the right hand side to try to beat the slipstream, and Russell is not close enough. But further behind, we've got Campbell and Verstappen. Campbell has overtaken Verstappen for P6. Verstappen trying to hold on there, but he can't do so because Campbell's got a massive tyre advantage, and he puts himself up into P6. Great comeback there for Campbell, considering he dropped a lot of places in the first stint because he was on the hard compound tyres, but the rest of them were on the softs and the mediums then. But Russell's so close but so far behind. But you never know, Sweet Cloud's penalty could be removed, you know, because he did get shoved off at turn 1 by Hazara. But if he picks up any more warnings after that, he may not get that penalty removed. So it all depends how many warnings he's got after that shove at turn 1. So don't forget, Speed Cloud could be on the podium after the race because of his post-race penalty removal, potentially. But Russell's so close behind Shadowglow as we make our way now towards the right hand. He's not close to making a move up the inside, so Shadowglow should have this covered, unless he picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. But all eyes now on Cucumber. There he is, the Canadian driver who hasn't won since the Spanish Grand Prix. Now he's making his way towards the final corner. He's low on fuel, of course, because there's not been any safety cars. But Cucumber crossed the line to win the Hungarian Grand Prix ahead of Speed Cloud. And here comes Shadowglow and Russell to take P2 and P3 away. What a great drive for Freddy as well. Up into P4 he goes, with Campbell in 6th place, Verstappen in 7th place. So Russell extended his championship gap over Verstappen in P7. Not been a great race for the Dutchman at all. Chris finishes in P8. Gary P9, Hazara sneaks himself inside the top 10, Nuth drops out the top 10 in 11th place with Luke in P12 and P's 13th place with Jimmy 14th and Frank unfortunately P15, but he is going for the fastest lap as well, so he should get an extra point. So here he is then, will he take the fastest lap? He is quickest in the purple sector. Purple sectors, in the middle sector is Frank, so he should easily take this fast lap away because nobody else has gone for it, as the rest are on all the tyres. So here he is then, will he get the fast lap points? He should do. Yes, he does, with a 16.0.
Yes, a silver lining for Frank, as his race was done after that incident into turn 6. Got the most what he could, basically, with that fast lap. Of course, a long stint on the soft and middle stint, but it is what it is for him. Last of all the finishes, and that was a thrilling Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yeah, very good indeed at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Cucumber had it in control. What a fantastic drive for him in the Alfa Romeo. Got a 3-second time penalty, but still won by a tenth as well. That's 3.1 seconds. No, sorry, the gap was 6.1 seconds. So my maths has let me down once again. I've been terrible at maths before. But yeah, there's the podiums then with Shadowglow and Russell on P3 and P2 and P3. But it all depends on Speed Crown will appeal that penalty, because he got shoved off at turn 1. But did he pick up any more warnings after that? Because if he didn't, he should get that P2 back. But it's been a great drive for the Mercedes driver as well. Fleddy from P10 to P4, what a comeback drive for him. And Cucumber has left the session there. So that's the Hungarian Grand Prix done and dusted. And it's been a pleasure to commentate with you, Bompier.
Likewise. I'm just calculating, I'm just getting the calculator out. If Russell maybe has won the championship, he was leading by 56 points. Ahead of this, he has scored 20, or 21 certainly, for 3rd place. And then Verstappen, his nearest rival, in 7th. I just need to see how many points you get for 7th. 1 second. I think Russell has won the championship.
I don't want to say if he's won or not because I don't want to embarrass myself on stream. But yeah, I'm not. I can't commentate and do maths at the same time. So I really wish we had someone in the chat the whole time, calculating whether Russell's won the championship or not ahead of Verstappen. But if he has, congratulations. If he hasn't, then he should do it the next race at Qatar. Qatar. Wow, what a race that's going to be as well, with a massive DRS train, lots of battles going on there too. But yeah, we end the Hungarian Grand Prix next Saturday, of course, at 6:30 UK time. We're back for the Qatar Grand Prix, and hopefully you enjoyed here in Hungary too. Great drive from Cucumber, fantastic indeed, and he had the pace of the whole races too, especially when the guys were in DRS, but he pulled away. So yeah, thank you once again, Bumpy, for commentating. Hopefully you enjoyed it too.
Definitely, always a pleasure to be alongside you.
You too, mate. And see you all for Qatar next Saturday at 6:30. Hopefully you all enjoy the Chinese Grand Prix this Sunday, tomorrow.